Are social technologies really only about talking about our lives, our cats, our dogs? Well, as far as exponentials are concerned, really we want to include some of the following: task management, file sharing, tele uh, presence, and emotional sensing. So we got a slightly different perspective, and we're obviously using it in the work sense. Hey, I'm John Harris, and this is the Exponential Entrepreneurs Academy coming to you live from London. Let's just recap a little bit because we've discussed quite a few important topics, and we've been going over exponentials. Is really concerned how an entrepreneur will build out an exponential organization, an enterprise, and these are some of the things that we've covered. We've spoken about a massively transformative purpose. It's very important. It's a key cornerstone of building out an exponential enterprise and being an exponential entrepreneur. You've got to have that vision. It's got to be exciting enough for people to buy into and to invest in. So we've got two sides to remember. I spoke to you about the control side and the creative side. And on the creative side, you're looking at having it external, outside of the organization. And on the control side, it's internal. So on the external side, we spoke about staff on demand. We spoke about the community, the crowd, and basically our core staff. And we spoke about algorithms, and leveraged assets, and engagement. When we spoke about the internal side of the structure, we spoke about interfaces, dashboards, experimentation, autonomy, and social technologies as the last component that we're on today. So that just gives you a little bit of perspective of where we're on with the whole process. So just to carry on, let's just look at what it means to the employee. So this is about employee relationship when you're talking about social technologies within the enterprise. And you're looking at being information enabled. So whether it's in location, with physical objects, ideas, knowledge, and how this all interacts within the organization. So also things like obviously pricing, updates, inventory adjustments, room occupancies. Look, even the coffee machine can now tell you when it needs a refill to topped up with coffee. Excuse me. So it's all about information, and it's being broadcast throughout the organization, and staff has the ability to log on to them and be part of that conversation. So let's go now to task management, which was one of the first key components of the social technologies. And task management, Justin Rosenstein said, your to-do list should be as addicting as really as your Facebook wall. And by that, he's trying to say it needs to be engaging. It needs people to actually want to spend some time on it to be engaged in what it's got to say and what it's doing within the organization, for it really to be of value. Teams are now measuring themselves in ways that they couldn't possibly do before. And what it's doing, it's they're closing tickets, they're doing coding, they're doing all sorts of things, but it's helping them in other ways, which we'll get onto. File sharing is another thing. Obviously, we know about tools from Google Drive, Dropbox. You got Microsoft OneDrive, and what it enables them to do is it makes it possible to take your information and share it. Share the updates, and you can do that as an individual. Can be storing a lot of your information on the drive and accessing it from anywhere, or for teams on a global scale even to actually have ability to access and be invited into a specific project, which gives great flexibility and potential for being in different locations. Telepresence as the next step. So in the form of video conferencing, we know there's been big changes in video conferencing, and you've got your freebies, Skype, Google Hangouts, the others, and there are many paid, Zoom and so forth. There are many other paid platforms you can use, and they're very powerful in that this also enables employees to work from different locations anywhere around the world, and they can scale globally by using these type of conferencing facilities. And the great benefit is it's obviously reducing costs, travel costs, etc., and it's reducing time exponentially. You can leverage a tablet nowadays on Beam, which is a telepresence robot that's mobile. You've probably seen it, and you can have your iPad or your instrument on there, and it can go around from room to room in another building on another continent and go in to visit people in the different offices and it gives you that ability to move around the organization even though you're not there. So there are a lot of changes, and they're moving ever faster. They're accelerating. So within the virtual world, this is also within telepresence, you've got virtual reality, and it allows interaction, collaboration, coordination, and even prototyping in a virtual world. This is becoming a very powerful instrument. To enable to be fully immersive, we've got Rosedale, which is a new high fidelity platform, is leveraging hardware such as the Oculus Rift for the deep depth camera, and what they're doing is they're using leap motion to gesture controls. This is reduced the lag, so it gives a very powerful real-time experience. The next is emotion sensing. This is the next step, emotion sensing, and this is the use of sensors within exponential companies, health sensors, and neurotechnologies. And where it's important now is within the individual employee. So what is happening is that you can have it within a group or a team, and you can have a person now, a staff member, being quantified, called quantified employee or quantified workforce. And what it does, it allows them to measure everything about themselves. So where it helps is that it can prevent people becoming ill, becoming overburnt out, and irritation. It can start to measure them in a very deep way to get the maximum potential out of a staff member. So you're improving the team flow and the contribution flow to the whole organization. And all these kind of data points are now becoming more and more part of the daily setup. I'd like to just go over the definition of exponentials. And when it comes to an exponential entrepreneur, is really striving to build an enterprise whose impact output is disproportionately large, at least 10 times that of the peers. And because of the new organizational techniques, and obviously the technologies that are available now. So that's where it's very powerful. It's at least 10 times more potential within an exponential enterprise as opposed to a normal brick and mortar. And I'd like to just read you some of the notes I've got here just with regard to some of the differences between a normal organization and an exponential organization, a comparison chart, if you will. So top down, a hierarchical organization is really what you have with a linear type organization. An exponential, you're having autonomy, social technologies. Linear, again, is driven by financial outcomes. An exponential organization is driven by an MTP, massively transformative purpose, and dashboards. Again, with a linear organization, innovation is primarily from within, and an exponential enterprise, community, crowd, and on-demand, staff on-demand, leveraged assets, interface, things that we've discussed already. Again, with a linear setup, strategic planning is largely an extrapolation from the past, historical. Within an enterprise, exponential enterprise, the massively transformative purpose, the MTP, and experimentation, seeing what works now, tinkering with what's working now. With the linear, it's risk tolerance, and again with the exponential organization, it's experimentation. Linear or risk tolerant, and again experimentation for exponential. Process inflexibility v autonomy experimentation. The next one would be where you're building in exponentials. Instead of large numbers and very cumbersome measurements, you've got autonomy and experimentation with exponentials. Your controls normally on a linear are coming from its own set of assets within the company. And we know that an exponential enterprise is looking to leverage assets. Okay, it doesn't have to own much of anything. Strongly invested in status quo, which is obviously to limit risk. That's your normal linear setup. And an exponential setup is the MTP, the dashboards, and experimentation. So that's a little bit about the difference, the comparisons, and this is the last of the sections and this is section on social technologies. And next time we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the technologies that are starting to converge, and what they are doing is they've disrupted various businesses have been disrupted by these digital platforms. And what's happening now is they are converging. There are different technologies converging, and they are going to disrupt whole industries and marketplaces. So there's a lot of change, and it's accelerating. It's very fast now. So we'd like to discuss some of those technologies, and later on we'll also talk about a little bit about how you can build your own exponential enterprise out. And we also got discussions on you as an exponential entrepreneur, how you're going to double up and 10x your potential so that your impact is 10 times greater. So as usual, you can follow us and subscribe to us. You can go to our Facebook page, Exponential Entrepreneurs Academy, and you can go on there and you can see the next set of events we're going to have, and some more information. You can whatever information we have on there, you can look at some of the videos. So I hope this has been useful, and as usual, we'll see you in the next episode.